It's now time to check on weather with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist and our Marker Journal Chief Meteorologist Eric Hunt. Eric, we're already somehow halfway through the month of April and planters are beginning to roll across some of the fields in the area. How do things look, though, in terms of weather as we turn to the week ahead?
Well, thanks, Bryce. It's April and Mother Nature's got about everything on the weather menu for this week, including some warmer temperatures. Definitely warm on Saturday and breezy. A little bit of fire danger, particularly in eastern and central Nebraska. So heading to Sunday, probably 80 degrees or plus statewide, with chances of maybe even hitting 90 across portions of the Kansas border, say between Superior over toward about Fairbury. As we head into Monday and Tuesday, our attention turns toward this trough moving into the southern high plains and heading into our area of the country. There is a risk of severe weather. Now, again, I think this is a little bit early and the details are still a bit fuzzy, but this is a relatively significant event for them to put this out this early. In our area, this is probably more of a large hail risk and a tornado threat like they probably are going to have further south. But definitely, I would pay attention to this, so make sure your weather radios are working as we head into Monday night into Tuesday morning. The good news is we should get some precipitation out of this, particularly across the eastern two-thirds of the state. The European ensemble actually shows a relatively good chance of an inch of precipitation across northeastern Nebraska heading up the upper Midwest. This area in the box, I think, they're not really showing it right now, but if we do get some storms, there's a really good chance that some places will pick up an inch, maybe even an inch and a half, 2 inches of rain from this. As we head toward the later portion of the week, the CPC is showing it being a little bit cooler than average across the northern plains. This actually is probably a bit underdone as we head toward the later portion next week. There is some growing signal of a stronger trough moving into the central U.S. by later this next week, bringing first a chance of precipitation, then some much cooler temperatures, including also a chance for some snowfall. So again, the European ensemble is actually showing a chance of 6 inches of snow across portions of the Panhandle, which I know is probably not what you're wanting to hear after what you had to deal with this past weekend. And also, there is definitely going to be a freeze risk as we head into next Friday morning, maybe even Saturday morning. So Seward West, I would expect there is at least a reasonable chance of being below freezing for a couple of hours as we head into a later portion of next week. Again, the CPC is not really showing much of a signal in terms of wet for our region of the country, certainly not in Nebraska. But we did get some decent precipitation amounts over parts of eastern Nebraska. So there were pockets of Lancaster and Johnson County that had over an inch. But for the most part, the last system last week was a little bit underwhelming here across eastern Nebraska. Not so much here across the Panhandle. We had a good setup for moisture, including some very heavy snows in parts of northwestern Nebraska. This picture came from, I believe this is Sioux County. Again, this is not what you want to see in April, particularly during calving season. In terms of soil temperatures, I'm sure this is of interest to a lot of you. We are definitely over 50 degrees here across most of eastern Nebraska and central Nebraska. A bit cooler in western Nebraska, where we've had some cooler temperatures of late, and certainly some places there's still a little bit of snow on the ground. In terms of soil moisture, again, where we've had the moisture across parts of Panhandle, north central Nebraska, things are quite good. This isn't alarming for mid-April, but again, we are definitely kind of going the wrong direction with regards to soil moisture across portions of east central and central Nebraska. No change on the drought monitor this week, so again, still about 20% of the state in drought, and our main core ag area here still in severe drought technically. This is released last week, so this GrassCast is the predictions of forage output for the season. This is put out last week, so again, the good news here with normal precipitation, we should see somewhat normal to even above normal forage production across a lot of the Great Plains this year, and we are definitely kind of starting to head out of El Nino. Thanks, and back to you, Bryce.